This is Jilliana Ranicar-Breese. I'm in Brighton, and as usual, and I have the pleasure of meeting Roger Cowdrey, who by chance happens to live in Turkey, but originally he is in fact from Bournemouth, and he's over on a flying visit with his lovely wife Pamela, who also is a friend of mine, and so I've grabbed him and he's going to talk. So we're very honoured. This is going to be part one. So Roger, go ahead and describe who you are. Okay. In a nutshell.
Okay, nice little nutshell. I'm an international business consultant who specialises in working with SMEs and particularly young people.
Sort of SMEs? What's that?
Sorry, small, medium enterprises, small businesses, and I work mainly with entrepreneurs, with those wanting to start up and so on. And therefore the reason I'm in Brighton is because of the 2 entrepreneurship awards I do with the Brighton University, and they had an event last night.
So this is in fact going to be, they've invited you back for next year.
Oh yes, my commitment to the award is already for 3 years.
Right,
so
right.
I'll be back next year and the year after, and I am sure I'll
Inshallah,
continue.
inshallah, yes, yes.
And I'm sure I will continue it because certainly the first year has been very much about the sort of things that I believe in terms of learning and entrepreneurship.
And what do you believe in?
For me, I believe in the innate ability of young people, and I see a responsibility to help encourage that and to overcome anything that's actually pushed it away. We have an education system that was developed for the Industrial Revolution, which was designed to provide lots of educated people at the same level, and almost like a sausage machine. And although it has changed slightly over the years, it hasn't fundamentally. And I see my job as actually trying to produce the sort of people we need today, which are people who are thinking outside of the box, are looking at how can I take the advances in science and technology and do things better, do things more sustainably, and so on.
Now, your background, in fact, is mathematics and computers, because you used to work with IBM.
Yeah.
Right. So how has that influenced what you're teaching today?
Well, in many ways, I suppose the whole journey has been evolved in understanding learning and so on. So when I was originally a teacher in Brighton, I would see how the formalized form of teaching, and I understand, you know, one right answer is a great idea if you've got to mark books, but it's not very good for thinking outside of the box and looking at alternatives. When I got to IBM, I have always been very involved in social events, the community and so on. And I became a director of the Croydon Business Venture, so I was helping startups there, and I saw how you needed to encourage that creativity. I did work with PhDs as part of the community thing, where I saw just how single-tunneled education had become for these people who just could not see what they could do to actually do something other than a research project for a big company or what have you when they eventually left university. In fact, my joke was always that you start at school doing biology, and then you go to university and you study sparrows, and then when you
and amoebas.
No, then once you've discovered sparrows, the next thing to do is to do your master's and discover sparrows' kneecaps, and then you do your PhD in ligaments of kneecaps of sparrows until you know absolutely everything about nothing at all. And
True.
So a lot of what I do is about encouraging those people that do have, you know, great ideas. Firstly, having moved from IBM, I moved into a business centre where we would see upwards of 1,000 startups a year in
Where was
Oxfordshire.
it? It's still in Croydon?
No, we moved to Oxford, and in Oxfordshire we'd see 1,000 startups or potential startups every year, and we would work with them. And it was there that I also built a business incubator, which is a building with units for young people to be able to start their businesses. But
You ought to link up with Dragon's Den.
well, I mean, it's the same sort of thing, because I used to be a director of the Prince's Trust, and we do the Dragon's Den bit with for giving loans to businesses, startup businesses, young people.
Do you still do that today?
No, because I'm now in Turkey, but I still have contact with them. But
have you met Prince Charles?
Yeah, well, I say met. I was invited to a garden party as a result of the Prince's Trust. So yes,
you haven't actually met him personally.
No, I haven't actually met him personally. He said hello, Charlie. Yet, but as I say, the trust were, great. It's one of the great things he did, actually, because I mean, he's well over 20 years now, of probably over 30 now that he's run this for disadvantaged young people. But yes, I mean, I built a business incubator, and the advantage of it was what we call easy in, easy out. So you could take a room for, and it was 1 month's notice, right, if you needed to leave. So because one of the problems of a business is you have no idea when you start how big it's going to grow and how fast.
Absolutely.
And so you could give a notice on this one, move to a bigger unit, and so on.
And whether you're going to take on staff, health and safety, I know all about that through my own business.
So what we did was to take off all that property management away from them so they could concentrate on developing their business. And over the course of 5 years, we incubated over 100 businesses, and we generated over 500 jobs doing that. And so because of the expertise, that's when in training and developing entrepreneurs, I did some work for the government, and now do it all over places like Macedonia, Jordan, Lebanon.
Why those particular countries?
It's
because I know you've been on their radio.
You name it. I've done television in the middle of Romania.
But how come those particular countries?
Well, because there will be places where the European Union or the World Bank are running projects to develop those countries. So, for example, the one that took us to Turkey, it was a European project of about €7 million, and was to develop 6 business centres in 6 different locations in Turkey.
I think we might be talking about that in part 2.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Roger.